secret beauty brought back to life. Good evening. Tonight, the focus of the world is firmly set on Geneva, Switzerland. Negotiating teams from the United States and the Soviet Union have arrived there, and tomorrow they'll begin discussing the arms race. It will be the first meaningful...
The world is turned on Geneva, Switzerland. We'll see what Twin Cityans think about the upcoming arms talks. And there were no real surprises today on the football field as the annual Pigskin Parade marches toward the Super Bowl. Good evening, everyone. I'm Susan Austin. Jeff Valiant has the night off. The personnel director for the city of Duluth and a retired Duluth police officer are the victims of an apparent murder-suicide. Police were called around 6:30 last night to the home of 32-year-old Raymond Rizzi, who had been the city's director of personnel for about a year. Rizzi had been shot in the chest and arm. He died about an hour later in a Duluth hospital. A short time later, police found the body of 68-year-old Nicholas Radulovich in the basement of his home, about 300 yards from the Rizzi home. First reports say that a quantity of pills were found in Radulovich's stomach, indicating a possible suicide. Rizzi's wife was home when her husband was shot. She also was shot in the arm, but she's in satisfactory condition at this hour. She says Radulovich entered their home around 6 p.m. and was there for several minutes before shooting the couple. Police have no motive for the crime.
Ray Rizzi and Nick Radulovich were close friends, and like I stated, no argument was evident, and at this point we have no knowledge of any motive.
The investigation is continuing tonight, and police are still searching for the gun used in the crime. Minnesota's efforts to aid starving people in Africa were stepped up today. The executive director of the Minneapolis-based American Refugee Committee left the Twin Cities for a refugee camp along the Sudan-Ethiopia border. His 3-week trip is in preparation for a 7-member medical team visit later this month.
That includes all of the permits necessary to move about in the Sudan. All housing accommodations. We'll have to build grass huts for our people before they can get there. And then to make arrangements for cooperation with other agencies already on the border for medical supplies and other equipment necessary to do our job.
The medical team, made up of a doctor and several nurses, will spend 6 months in Africa, and then they will be replaced with another team from Minnesota. Lieutenant Governor Marlene Johnson will travel to the area later this week, also to prepare for the medical team's visit. The American Refugee Committee, meanwhile, is continuing relief efforts in another corner of the globe. Locally, they've raised over $4,000 to replace medical supplies destroyed during an attack on a Cambodian refugee camp. The camp along the Thai-Cambodian border was staffed by volunteers provided by the committee. The lost supplies are valued at $50,000. If you'd like to help the effort, contributions should be sent to 2344 Nicollet Avenue South, Minneapolis 55404. All eyes are on Geneva, Switzerland tonight, where arms control talks begin tomorrow. The 2-day talks between the Soviet Union and the United States are not expected to achieve immediate results, but rather to lay a foundation for further discussions. And Twin Cityans appear glad that the two superpowers are talking once again.
I have good feelings about it. I think it's a necessary thing, and it's been long overdue. They should have been doing this a long time ago.
The U.S. delegation was the first to arrive in Geneva this morning. Secretary of State George Shultz expressed hope that the two superpowers will move toward formal arms negotiations. Soviet Foreign Minister Andrei Gromyko arrived 7 hours later. He says the Soviets want to negotiate a radical reduction in nuclear arms and a ban on space weapons. Locally, people seem to be skeptical that the talks will produce results, but the feeling is it's a step in the right direction.
Well, it could be the end of it all if something doesn't happen. They don't come to some kind of an agreement. We've got a problem.
I think it's good that now that they're finally decided to get something going to talk about, at least control it, because it is getting a little bit out of hand.
A lot of people are mostly worried about their children. If they just keep building up, we're all going to blow up. You know, it's better that they decide to at least sit and talk. Maybe nothing will happen.
Harlan Cleveland is dean of the Hubert Humphrey Institute and a past assistant secretary of state under the Kennedy administration. He worries that the talks may not get off to a good start because the U.S. delegation is divided.
The government in Washington has exported to Geneva the problem that they had in Washington, which was a big disagreement inside the administration. And the president hasn't settled the arguments. Soviets, of course, are
past masters at waiting it out. But this time I think they really want to do some business, partly because they're scared of our technology. They know that if we set our minds to it, we can outstrip them in military technology.
Cleveland says tomorrow's discussions are the beginning of a long, complicated process and should be judged a success if Gromyko and Schultz are able to establish some ground rules for further negotiations. The arms talks in Geneva will open under record cold temperatures for that city. But here in Minnesota, the winter has been one of the most mild in recent memory. That's proving to be bad news for a number of businesses, including the people who impound cars. Beth Ruyak explains.
This is how the Minneapolis impound lot looked last winter, including the overflow lot filled with hundreds more cars. And this is how the lot looks this year. It would be nice to think it's just because we're all catching on to the city's ticket and tow system, but the truth is, it's due to the weather. This winter, there have been no snow emergencies called, so technically, the one side of the street parking ban in Minneapolis is not in effect yet. That makes the parking situation much easier, but it means business for the towing companies has been terrible. What they're missing out on is an extra 400 to 500 cars during each snow emergency, and last winter there were 6. Not to mention the extra cars ticketed once the one side of the street parking ban goes into effect. The tow companies won't say what the dollar loss might be, hoping that the rest of the winter will equal out. Meanwhile, the city lot also showed a profit in 1984, which may or may not hold true in 1985.
We were able to cover our expenses with the lot operation.
Cover your expenses and then some?
Yes, slightly. The final figures aren't in yet, but in the range of $200,000.
That money goes back into the city parking fund, and since about $1.7 million is budgeted annually for the lot, it doesn't matter how many cars are taken in. The only question after last year's total of 40,000 cars is if the lot is big enough.
The property here holds approximately 1,050 cars, and usually your first night of a snow emergency is the greater number of vehicles are towed in. So it's usually if you get by the first night, you're all right. We did happen to fill a lot twice, and on 4 snow emergencies we did not. So as far as making it a bigger lot at this time, I don't think that's being considered.
By the way, many of these cars never get back to their owners. If they sit here more than 30 days, they get auctioned away. Bidding starts every Thursday morning at 10. I'm Beth Ruyak for Channel 9 News.
Every day, the average person is exposed to hundreds of advertisements, selling everything from computers to potato chips. A church in Minneapolis has also been advertising its product for the past 6 years. We'll take a look at this award-winning campaign and other stories when we come back.
He's a self-made millionaire. She's a freelance journalist. Together, they're heart to heart, and that means action.
How do we get out of here? Jonathan!
They always find themselves in the thick of things.
We're definitely in a little trouble here.
Be sure to watch Robert Wagner and Stephanie Powers on Heart to Heart.
Weeknights at 10:30.
Slick advertising campaigns are something we encounter almost on a daily basis. And religion is something many people feel is a large part of their daily lives as well. A church in Minneapolis has combined the two with surprising results, receiving everything from national awards to national criticism. Kevin Burns reports.
Church ads can be seen in local newspapers weekly. Most look alike, but those placed by St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Minneapolis are different. They are direct. Church leaders say they encourage people to think and to question.
Now, this is who we are. We really are this way. Now, our older people know that, okay? In a sense, you know, to you, I don't want to be crass, but they've bought the product. We, at least in the Episcopal Church, and I think some of the other mainline churches face a problem of communicating who and what we are to the wider public.
The advertising campaign began 6 years ago and has met with success. The St. Luke's congregation has grown from 250 to about 300 families in that time. Soon after the campaign started, leaders began distributing the ads to other churches around the country, and the response has made the project self-supporting. Not bad, considering the total investment has been more than $20,000. The ads have won several national awards as well, and the ad agency designing the campaign was named Best in the Country in 1984. But with that success has come some criticism, mostly from people and groups who feel they've been put down.
That's never really been our intention. It gets read wrong, I think, often by people who don't have a sense of humor, because a lot of our ads have kind of that whole character of a good political cartoonist. They'll make you smile.
Martin says there hasn't been much response from the National Episcopal Church, nor has he expected any. A new set of ads is due out in a few weeks. They, too, will deal with issues of today, like prayer in schools and the role of women in the church. Episcopal leaders here say 1985 will be even better than last year, and they hope the ad campaign will continue to pay off, both in terms of increased church attendance and increased revenues. Kevin Burns, Channel 9 News, Minneapolis.
A controversy involving advertising at the Hubert Humphrey Metrodome. That's the subject of a commentary tonight by Dick Pomerantz.
Two issues have arisen recently about the dome. While one has been settled by a court of law, another may be pending. Each case relates to the question as to the public or private status of the Metrodome. The case adjudicated turned on the question of whether the Stadium Commission could grant exclusive rights to one corporation, which then sold exclusive rights to another corporation to advertise in the dome. No public process, no public bidding. The court decided the dome is a public institution, and therefore bidding must be a public process. The second case deals with a newspaper freely distributed on game days for Gopher and Vikings football. Representatives of this paper were recently arrested, frisked, and questioned, all for giving away a cheaply put-together competitor to the actual football program. One Vikings employee questioned aloud the capitalistic practice of competition. It's not as if these newspapers are even good substitutes or facsimiles for the real thing. Although one representative did find himself distributing the paper on the rampway, they ordinarily don't do so. Instead, they do it on the streets near the stadium. Question: where does the public street begin? Apparently, it's 18.5 feet from the dome, away from the curb. Your private property may end at the sidewalk of your lawn, so why should it be any different at the dome? Teams have been kept in Minnesota by the city of Minneapolis using tax monies to make the dome lease more attractive, and that way the dome retains prime tenants. Isn't that another way of saying that the dome is a public institution, not private domain? I'm Dick Pomerantz.
And for a look now back at the stories topping the news the first week of this new year, here is Jeff Ballion with the Week in Review.
On Sunday, there were conflicting stories over what caused a nursing home fire on Saturday night. 100-year-old Harry Bashaw died in the blaze at the Fridley Convalescent Home. Officials believe Bashaw started the fire while smoking, but the victim's roommate, who was in the room where the fire broke out, says Bashaw accidentally set himself on fire when he tried to burn off a safety belt used to strap him into his wheelchair. It looks like Minnesota will be giving California's Silicon Valley a run for its money. An agreement between the city of Minneapolis, the University of Minnesota, and the state has paved the way for a new supercomputer institute to be built in downtown Minneapolis. It's all in the name of high-tech scientific research, which officials hope will establish the state as a leader in computer technology. Well, when it comes to the arts, St. Paul won't be playing second fiddle to Minneapolis anymore. New Year's Day marked the ringing in of a new cultural era for the city when the Ordway Music Theater officially opened its doors. The $45 million complex is the culmination of a 5-year dream for St. Paul. Several Twin Cities musical organizations will soon be calling the Ordway their home. For some 2,000 Minnesota businesses, Father Time brought more than just a new calendar page when he ushered in the new year. They're in jeopardy of not having their business licenses renewed because they haven't paid overdue taxes. A tax amnesty program by the state offered a 20% break if overdue taxes were paid up by October 31st, but a surprising number of businesses decided to ignore the incentive. The 99th Congress went back to work on Thursday, and cutting back the huge federal deficit will be a top priority of many legislators. But the mayors of Minneapolis and St. Paul are concerned that federal aid to cities will be trimmed in the process and say the cuts would add up to a shortage of housing for the poor and fewer job training programs. If Governor Rudy Perpich gets his way, Minnesota will soon be on the road to becoming what he calls a brain power state. Perpich proposed some sweeping changes in the state's education system on Friday, among them letting students choose their own schools and increasing the state's commitment to school funding from the current 63% to 80%. A surprise announcement Saturday from the head of the Minnesota DFL. Mary Monahan has decided to call it quits. After 2 years on the job, Monahan is stepping down in order to spend more time with her family. Her tenure as party chair was marred by a number of setbacks for the DFL, including the loss by Senate candidate Joan Grow and the loss of the DFL's majority in the State House of Representatives.
And still to come on Primetime News tonight, the air was filled with footballs in the NFL's conference championships. But if skiing is your sport, you'll love our forecast because it's all downhill from here. We'll have the weather plus all the sports when we return.
Don't break the heart.
This is the world's top-selling female recording star. Connie Francis has sold over 100 million records. And now, for the first time on TV, Connie Francis offers you her most beautiful love songs of all. The songs that touch you more than any other.
So I made up my mind. Tell me I may always.
These are the songs everyone remembers.
The anniversary was with you. Drifting with the current and the moon.
Connie's most richly beautiful recording. But you also get another entire Connie Francis album. The sentimental favorites you'll always love. Every one of these sentimental favorites is just as beautiful. And how you'll enjoy the treasury of love songs. You get both Connie Francis treasuries. They're not sold in stores. Order yours now.
Mail 1298 to Connie Francis, Box 1338, Burnsville, 55337. You get 2 record albums, 2 cassettes, or 2 8-track tapes. This special Connie Francis offer will end with no advance notice, so write this address down now. Mail 1298 to Connie Francis, Box 1338, Burnsville, 55337. Connie Francis, Box 1338, Burnsville, Minnesota, 55337.
Looks like our stretch of Minnesota mild is unfortunately coming to an end. The balmy temperatures of the past few days are soon to be a thing of the past, as cooler air and, yes, even some snow begin to invade the upper Midwest. Today was an indication of what's in store for us. Afternoon temperatures in the state ranged from the mid-teens along the Canadian border to the low 30s in the south. Here in the Twin Cities, our official high was 31 degrees, the low this morning 20, and we have had just a trace of the white stuff today. Currently in the Twin Cities, skies are cloudy. Our temperature is a balmy 30 degrees. The relative humidity sits at 78%, and winds are from the north at 15 miles an hour. Across the country at this hour, temperatures are mostly in the 20s in the northwest, with 30s and 40s prevalent across the rest of the country. The warm spots are in Southern California and South Texas. The forecast high temps for tomorrow put Minnesota mostly in the teens and 20s. And looking at our latest satellite picture, Minnesota is under mostly cloudy skies at this hour, with clear skies in the western Dakotas, which should be coming our way in the early part of next week. Responsible for our return to more winter-like conditions is a low-pressure center that moved from west-central Minnesota into southeast Minnesota earlier in the day, bringing with it snowfall and some freezing drizzle. That low will continue moving east into Wisconsin tonight, leaving behind no more than an inch or 2 of snow. The metro area forecast by the National Weather Service goes like this. Tonight we can expect cloudy skies, and there is a 40% chance of some light snow. Expect a low tonight between 10 degrees and 18 degrees. And then tomorrow skies will be becoming partly cloudy and look for a high right around 20 degrees. Monday night, clear to partly cloudy skies and becoming cold. Our low will dip down to between 5 below and 5 above. And then on Tuesday, mostly sunny, but don't expect a warm-up. Highs for Tuesday shouldn't reach above 15 degrees. And Jim, not too many people were probably enjoying the warm weather today. They were probably all inside watching football.
Yeah, and we don't care about those people. We care about the people that were outside and haven't seen the highlights yet, because they're going to get a look at the 2 Super Bowl teams and the hockey news. All was not football on this Sunday, and we'll bring you some highlights when we come back.
squeezed. I did it this morning. And then I even made my famous cherry pie. I don't have to do these things, but I do, even with laundry. I don't have to use Biz bleach, but cherry pie.
Chili.
Just half a cup of Biz with detergent, and I know it's going to come out. Biz makes me feel I'm doing all I can. And to me, that's what making a home is about.
Give it all you can with Biz bleach.
Don't miss Different Strokes, Monday through Saturday evenings at 6.
Say, baby. Say hello to Mr. J.
We miss Harlem.
Yeah, and I want to miss Harlem the rest of my natural life. And there's only one thing to do.
What's that?
Grab a glass of milk and hit them cookies till the booze go away.
Different Strokes, Monday through Saturday evenings at 6 on Receptive Channel 9.
They call this game the Super Bowl, the one that's coming up, but that adjective may not be good enough to describe this game. Two matinee idol quarterbacks, two great coaches, and even, if you can believe it, the two best teams. San Francisco's 15-1 record was the best. Miami's 14-2 was next. Both teams proved their vast superiority in the conference championship games today. Miami beat Pittsburgh 45-20. Mark Duper, one of the two marksmen, and he scores to make it 17-14. Pittsburgh tried to move the ball, and they got a turnover.
I'm a firm believer in if you send too many guys and everybody knows what they're doing on the offense when it comes to the breakoffs, then and you can get the ball out there to the guys, then it's just one-on-one. It's you and the guy defender, and he has to make a tackle to keep you out of the end zone, and it costs him.
We were sitting in the whole kitchen sink, and in those situations, you're not supposed to be able to pick it up. You know, you wouldn't think that they would pick it up. This is the first time they ripped everyone, you know, the way they did today. They were just throwing two receiver routes, and it was a new look for us.
Steelers with 15 rookies, they may be back soon. All week long, the media was talking about the mighty Bears defense and all the problems they would cause San Francisco. It must have made the 49er defense mad. Today they showed, hey, we've got a good defense too, and a very good defense, as it turns out. The result, a 23-0 shutout. Joe Montana, playing before a sellout crowd at Candlestick Park, got his team on track. They started throwing passes from the very start, those quick rhythm passes. Dwight Clark took it deep into Bear territory, but 3 times they were inside the 5-yard line and only got 2 field goals out of it. Ray Wershing booting them both to make it 6-0 at the half. The Bears were still in it, but really they weren't because their offense didn't do much all day. Here in the third quarter, Wendell Tyler then makes it a 13-point lead, taking it in from 10 yards out, and the San Francisco club was on their way. Fourth quarter, after a long run by Roger Craig, Montana finds Fred Solomon, 20-0. A late field goal made it 23-0 San Francisco. 8 sacks for Steve Fuller. He didn't turn the ball over, but he didn't move him downfield either. Walter Payton, the king of running backs, is still playing with a bunch of serfs on offense. It's too bad, and it is downright cruel the way they treated those teddy bears. San Francisco now travels just 15 miles south to Palo Alto for the Super Bowl. Now there's the scores again. San Francisco 23-0 over Chicago, and you saw Miami earlier. What this sets up, fans, is the Hype Watch. I doubt if there will be a more promoted game in the history of sport. Too many interesting characters to believe in this one. I hope you make it through the 2 weeks. To help you along, here is our Hype Watch, just 13 days before the game. My pick, not that you really care, is the team that wins will be the last team that has the ball. Hockey now. The North Stars are off until Wednesday when they played division-leading Chicago at the Chicago Stadium. The Stars came into tonight's game trailing the division-leading Chicago Hawks by 6 points. We'll get to the Hawks score in a moment. First, highlights from the Big Apple, where the New Jersey Devils were playing Herb Brooks and the Rangers. Interesting game. It was 3-3 in the fourth period. Puck centered out in front. Paul Gagne scores his second goal of the game. 4-3 New Jersey halfway through the third. Looks like they're going to have a successful game and tie the Rangers for 4th spot in the division. But Robbie Ftorek shoots, and the goal judge doesn't turn the light on, but the referee, Brian Lewis, gets in and says, yeah, it was in, I saw it. Chico Resch says, no, you didn't. And he jumps up and down, but it doesn't do any good. The goal judge didn't change his mind. The light never went on. Watch on the replay if you think it was in. Ftorek takes the shot, it deflects, hits the crossbar and comes down. But no, it did not go into the net. Looks like Resch had a good argument. Now in the overtime, Sandstrom waltzes in, pokes it in the far corner, and the coach of the New Jersey Devils, Doug Carpenter, gets a little bit excited at Brian Lewis. He said, hey, it wasn't for your blindness, we wouldn't have even gone into overtime. Now we lose the game. Thanks a lot, Brian. And the hockey scores tonight, we have some to show you. The Rangers winning, the Jets falling to the Oilers. That is now a final 7-2. And it is the Blackhawks now trailing the Blues. That scores 3-2 in the third period. The Gopher women's basketball team had a successful road trip to open the season. They beat Illinois in the opener on Friday. Tonight they took care of Purdue 69-64. Laura Coonan, again, the leading scorer for the team with 20 points. Carol Paterka added 19. The Lady Gophers play at Iowa next Friday night. And Susan, it's kind of neat the way they do the schedule now. The women and the men play the same week. They play the same opponents, and they're trying to promote interest in women's basketball, and that's a good way to do it. The fans can identify with the standings because they can follow right along with the men's team and know who's playing who.
Sounds like a good idea. How do you explain your pick, the last person who's got the ball?
Well, because both teams score seemingly at will, and nobody has stopped either one all season long, and there's no reason to think the trend is going to not continue.
Okay, sounds good, Jim. When we come back, the story of an airplane flight that you might be glad to miss.
For laughter that'll really crack you up, tune in to Taxi, weeknights at 6:30.
Louis? Well, I'm sure he's happy at the moment. He's checking the rat trap.
I caught one back there. He didn't even finish the cheese. Are we gonna get wild, crazy? You know.
Louis and Alex are the men behind the laughter, weeknights at 6:30 on Taxi, here on Receptive Channel 9.
For the first time ever, live on stage, Alvin and the Chipmunks and the Magic Camera coming to Met Center January 17th through 20th. See Alvin as John Travolta. Hear the Chipmunks sing such musical hits as Beat It, 9 to 5, Let's Get Physical, plus many more hits. Join in all the singing, dancing, and laughter of this musical mystery adventure. Get tickets now at Met Center and Dayton's, or charge by phone by calling 853-9300. Alvin and the Chipmunks, don't miss them.
We've all heard about those no-frill airlines. Well, one cut-rate carrier will be adding some no-frills entertainment to a transatlantic flight. Virgin Airlines says that instead of the usual in-flight music, passengers on their New Jersey to London flight tomorrow will be treated to a live performance, a kazoo player demonstrating chicken and turkey calls. The instructor, who, by the way, gets a free trip for her efforts, says kazoos are great for those people who are musically marginal. No word yet on how many passengers are booked for the flight. You might say that tomorrow's forecast is of the no-frills variety. Look for partly cloudy skies with a high right around 20 degrees. And that's primetime news for this Sunday night. We'll be back again tomorrow at 9, and we hope you'll join us. For everyone here at Channel 9, have a good night.